and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Grace, and as you can tell from the title of this video and my big belly here, I am in my third trimester. We're due to meet our baby in maybe about a month's time now, and I really wanted to film this video. The minute I found out I was pregnant, I thought at the end I'd like to just sort of film a big pregnancy chat and just recap the kind of whole pregnancy. And I thought, seeing as though we've only got 4 weeks left, this is the perfect opportunity for me to sit down and just have a big old chat about my pregnancy with you. I've done a few videos along the way, but I will just quickly recap. If you haven't seen any of those, we tried getting pregnant in the summer of last year, and it was a lot quicker than we thought it was going to be because I have PCOS, so I didn't know how long it would take us to conceive, but it literally only took us a couple of months, so we were very fortunate, and it was a little bit unexpected getting pregnant as quickly as we did. And we just wanted to have about a year married on our own and then start trying for a family, so it worked out really nicely for us actually. So we found out we were pregnant at the end of September. I think it was the last day of September or something. I took a pregnancy test. So I think I knew it was about 4 or 5 weeks when I found out I was pregnant. I've spoken about this in my other videos, but basically for me, this is just my personal experience, the third trimester probably was the worst for me. And I am at the end of my third trimester now, so I know I've got 4 weeks. The hardest part is still to come, but mentally I found the first part quite difficult because I felt sort of quite tired and sick, and I'm not really used to feeling like that, and I was forced to rest, which I'm not really very good at, sort of sitting down and not doing normal things. I didn't really enjoy that part of it. I didn't have morning sickness physically, but I felt sick. But luckily that didn't last very long for me. I was quite fortunate really. So I've just made a load of notes sort of on my phone to just talk about. So if they're a little bit random, it is just going to be, there's not any structure to this video. I'm just going to talk through some things that have occurred in my pregnancy. So like I say, I'll start from the beginning. Along with sort of morning sickness and fatigue, I had really bad acne, but otherwise that didn't last too long, the morning sickness and tiredness. I think I had about a month where I literally like came home from work and crashed out on the sofa and stuff like that. But my skin was really bad for months, like really bad hot spots all over my face. If you've seen our decorating videos, you might have noticed that my skin was particularly bad then. It's obviously just the hormone changes in my body and stuff. So yeah, that wasn't very nice because I felt ill, and I felt like I looked ill as well. Probably was just how I felt though. Another thing that I have noted down for my early pregnancy was, I think for quite a while, this was particularly early days, just after I found out I was pregnant, that first month, I was having quite a lot of bad dreams, and I had this sort of like reoccurring bad dream. I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but it was like verging on a nightmare. It was just a really bad dream. I had that for quite a while. And then another thing that I've had throughout my entire pregnancy is that I've dreamt about the house that I grew up in as a child, which I find really bizarre because I've never dreamt about that house. Well, I guess I've had the odd dream about it, but it's just quite a strange thing that since I've been pregnant I've dreamt about my childhood home, which I find quite bizarre. I'm not sure if that's the hormones affecting my brain, or I've got no idea, but I just thought I'd make a note of that because I think that has been to do with my pregnancy. I haven't dreamt about it so much in the latter part of my pregnancy, but definitely in the early stages, like a couple of times a week I was dreaming about my childhood home, which is really strange. And I still do dream about it a little bit now, but yeah, that's just been part of my pregnancy journey, which is really odd. So once I got over the fatigue and that kind of sicky feeling, which was towards the end of my first trimester. There onwards, I was really fortunate with my entire pregnancy, and I was able to carry on as normal as possible, really. So you might have seen from my channel, if you've been watching for a little while, we actually renovated our house throughout the whole of my second trimester. We picked up the keys to this house in October, and we absolutely gutted this place. I'll leave the playlist for that if you're interested, if you've not seen it. So I wasn't one of those pregnant women that sat down on my bottom the whole time and took it easy. I'm definitely not that sort of person. I definitely strived throughout my whole pregnancy to just carry on as normal as possible, really. That is just the sort of person that I am. So yeah, we decorated this house in my second trimester. Obviously I didn't go crazy or anything like that, or I didn't do anything very physical, but I was doing a lot of painting and keeping myself active, and I think that helped in the sort of second trimester, because I wasn't going to the gym and stuff. I didn't have time to go to the gym, because I do like to exercise otherwise. Yeah, we were decorating this house throughout my second trimester, and to be honest, I think that I was able to do that because I didn't start showing that I was pregnant until the end of January. I kept pretty normal for a long time, really. I wouldn't really say that I looked like I was pregnant, so I think that helped me physically. I was capable to carry on as normal as possible during those months. So yeah, we decorated a house and renovated this whole thing. Obviously not just me on my own, my husband Oliver and my mum, and obviously we had help and stuff. So that was part of my pregnancy journey as well. And I was really lucky that I was able to do that, because if I had have had that fatigue that I had in the early stages of my pregnancy, we definitely wouldn't have got as much done as we did. Is that being that this is our first pregnancy and we are planning on it being the only pregnancy, we're not planning on expanding the family, we did decide in the early days that we weren't going to find out what we were having. I think in the early days Oliver might have liked to know, because just before our scan he was kind of like, shall we just find out? And I was adamant that I didn't want to know what we were having, because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter to me. I was just really grateful that we were pregnant. So we're not finding out what we're having, and I thought I would talk about how that has been as an experience, because most people find out what they're having nowadays. And it's only really been the last couple of weeks that I've been a little bit like, okay, I kind of want to know what we're having now. But we haven't got long to find out, I guess. But other than that, I've not really been impatient. I've been quite happy not to know what we're having. We do have our chosen girl and boy name that we like. Hopefully we don't change our minds at the last minute. But yeah, I don't think it's been difficult at all not finding out what we're having. As you can see behind me, I'm in the nursery, and we've kept everything nice and neutral, which is probably how I would have liked it anyway. I don't want to be really pink for a girl, blue for a boy, regardless of what we have. So I'm really happy with the nursery, and I'm happy that we've not found out what we're having. And I think it's more exciting for everyone not to find out, personally. It'd be so lovely when we find out what we're having, and I was adamant really that I didn't want to find out, to be honest, and I'm pleased that we haven't, and I am looking forward to finding out now though. I am getting a little bit impatient, just because I am an impatient person actually, so I'm surprised that I've been this good at not finding out. But yeah, I haven't really found it difficult. There are a lot of sort of neutral clothes that you can buy for newborns, because obviously when they're newborn they're not going to be in their clothes for very long anyway, so you just get a few neutral clothes. We've got lots of white and grey and a little bit of yellow sort of newborn baby clothes, and then once we know what we're having, I'm sure we will, and all our family will probably be wanting to buy us clothes when we know what we're having. Like I say, because this is my first pregnancy, we did find out that I would require an anti-D injection because of my blood group is a negative. I think I'm A negative. I had no idea what my blood group was before I found out I was pregnant, so I did have to have an injection a few months ago now, and if my baby has got different blood to me, which is quite likely they will, I will have to have another one just after the birth. But it is just an injection and it was really simple and no problem at all. Before I found out I was pregnant, one of the things that I was really not looking forward to about being pregnant was the blood tests. And to be honest with you, I do have a little bit of a fear of blood tests, I'm not going to lie, but in all honesty, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I worked it up in my mind to be a lot worse than it really is, because there aren't that many. I think if you have a complicated pregnancy, obviously you might have to have more blood tests, but because I've been fortunate enough to have a really smooth, uncomplicated pregnancy, I haven't needed to have extra ones. I've just needed all the routine screenings, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I guess if you've got fear of something, you can't really rationalise that until the time comes and you find out for yourself. But if I'd have known it wouldn't have been as bad, I wouldn't have worried as much, but that's just hindsight for you. So if you are afraid of blood tests and you're worried about the amount that you have during pregnancy, it's not actually as bad as you might think. In terms of cravings and stuff like that, I wouldn't really say I've had any major pregnancy cravings. Lots of people have asked me, what cravings have you had? And nothing really stands out. In my pregnancy favourites video, I talked about in the early days I really enjoyed fruit and like juicy fruit, like grapes and satsumas. So I guess if I had to say anything, it might be that, and I have enjoyed white chocolate, which I never enjoyed before my pregnancy. But I wouldn't say I'm craving those things, they're just things that I've enjoyed since I've been pregnant. So another thing that I wanted to touch on in this video is work and my plans to return to work. Obviously, at the moment I am on my maternity leave. I had to take it early because of the current situation, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I've always known that if I was going to have a family, I would return to work. I'm self-employed, so I work for myself, so I'm quite fortunate that I will hopefully be able to juggle work and life balance once the baby's here. But yes, I will definitely be returning to work. I'm not going to be a stay-at-home mum. That was never going to be the plan. But me and Oliver have got a bit of a sort of plan in place that we're going to separate our work between us, hopefully. So that is the plan, and I'll talk about that a little bit more once the baby comes, probably. I know that a lot of women complain about aches and pains during their pregnancy, and I think I have been really fortunate throughout this whole pregnancy. That has just been a reoccurring theme with this pregnancy. Obviously I have my bad days, but on the whole it has been really smooth, and I haven't really had a lot to complain about. I am extremely fortunate because I do know that a lot of women have aches and pains and stuff. Like I say, I have got 4 weeks to go, so I'm not expecting it to be smooth sailing at the end of the pregnancy, but I think if I've managed to go 35 weeks without too many complaints, I think I've been very lucky. I don't know if that is because I have kept a normal routine and I've basically done as much normal things as possible, or if that is just the way my pregnancy has been. I guess we'll never know. But I've only really had to start slowing down sort of in the last couple of weeks because my belly is quite big now, and it does restrict you when you've got a stomach this size, and I have started getting slightly swollen feet. The weather is quite warm. It's unseasonably warm for April at the moment, so I'm not sure if it's that as well, but I know that you do get swollen feet at the end of your pregnancy. So yeah, I guess I've been forced to slow down a little bit now, but on the whole I have tried to be as normal as possible, and I guess that might have helped in my pregnancy journey. I didn't exercise as much as I thought I would during my pregnancy, but that is only because we were decorating this house, and then once that sort of finished, the gyms were shut because of the coronavirus, which I will talk about in a minute briefly, being pregnant during a world pandemic. But yeah, I haven't really had any aches or pains that I can complain about. In the night I do get a little bit of hip pain, but I can tend to relieve that if I put a cushion between my knees or something. But I'm not really going to complain about a little bit of hip pain. On the whole, I've been very lucky. Like body image and gaining weight and stuff like that, I briefly touched on it earlier that I didn't really show that I was pregnant for a long while. I carried my pregnancy quite well until about January, and even then I had quite a small bump. When I had my second scan, they did say I was measuring on the smaller side, but still within a normal range, so I guess that's why I didn't look overly pregnant. And it's only really in the last month or so that I've gained a bit more weight. I think I have anyway. I think my face is a little bit bigger than it used to be, but that's only natural, and I have been eating more because we're sort of stuck in the house, and why the hell not? I'm pregnant and I'm right at the end of it now, so I'm just going to enjoy my food and not really worry about trying to take the weight back off straight away, because there's no point. I'm planning on breastfeeding, so that will help me shed some pounds towards the end, but I'm not really going to pressurise myself to lose the baby weight straight away, because I just want to make sure that I've got a healthy baby and I'm healthy. Okay, so the last thing that I will speak about in this video is my birth plan and being pregnant during a world pandemic. So as you all know, we are currently living in very strange times, and they are strange times to be pregnant in because of the coronavirus that has just taken, this crisis has taken over the world at the moment. And I found it a little bit stressful to begin with, but I've kind of just accepted it now. Because of the virus, I have had to take earlier than planned maternity leave. If this hadn't have all happened, I would have still been working, hopefully, up until the beginning of May. That was my plan. But because of everything that's happened, I took early maternity leave. My husband is also off with me, so I think that's helped me keep positive because I've got Oliver with me. But it has been a strange time, but it's a really strange time for everyone in the world at the moment, so it's not like I'm the only one feeling it. It hasn't really affected our birth plan or anything like that as of yet, but obviously we don't really know because it's still going on at the moment, and procedures and the way that they're running things in hospitals have had to take a bit of a change of strategy because of the coronavirus. But we are hoping that Oliver is going to be able to be with me at the birth. There might be some things that are slightly different and he might not be able to stay as long as we intended. Before all of this, I had planned to have the baby in hospital, and then I thought, oh my god, I don't want to go into hospital, I just want to be away from hospitals, maybe we should think about having a home birth. But actually our hospital isn't allowing home births because of the fact that it takes too many midwives away from the hospital, and if you have to go into hospital for an emergency C-section and you require an ambulance, it's putting more pressure on the ambulance services. So home births are a no at the moment. I wasn't sure if I wanted one, but because of the coronavirus it did make me think maybe we should think about having the baby at home, because in my mind it's the safest place to be, because that's where they're telling us all to be at the moment, but we're not really allowed to, so we've just got to knock that on the head and accept that the baby will be born at the hospital, and if all goes well, hopefully I'll be able to come home, within 12 hours of having the baby. That is really what I'm crossing my fingers for, because I will have to be in the hospital on my own if there are any complications. Oliver won't be allowed to come. They're not allowing visitors. They will only allow him to be with me during labour and just after the birth. So that's sort of our current situation where we're standing with the birth at the moment. And I don't think that's going to change in the next month. If it does, we'll be lucky. If they're, you know, a little bit more lenient about him staying, that'll be really good, but I'm not planning on it. So yeah, I don't really have a birth plan, so to speak. I'm not really, even though I am a planning kind of person and I'm very organised, I don't really want to put pressure on myself to have a, yes, I want this sort of a birth or I want that sort of a birth. I just want to not put any pressure on giving birth. All I know is that I would like to do it as unmedicated as I can, and hopefully just rely on gas and air. That is what I would like, but we'll see. So yeah, but we'll never know. Every birth is completely different, and that's why I don't want a birth plan, because in case something goes sort of unexpected, I don't want to be disappointed that I've not been able to have the birth that I planned. I'm not really fussed. As long as I get my baby in my arms at the end of the day, that's all I'm worried about. Okay, I think that is everything that I wanted to cover in this video. I know it's been a little bit random, but I just thought I would make a big old pregnancy chat video so that I can look back on it one day in case I forget what my pregnancy was like. But I don't think I'm likely to forget this pregnancy because of everything that's been going on. I'm sure we're going to remember it quite easily, but I'm sure there'll be little bits that I might have forgotten about that, at least if I've just mentioned them in this video, when I look back on it, I might remember them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this pregnancy chat video. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a rambly one. Don't forget to check out my other videos if you're new around here, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye. In today's video I'm going to be doing a huge spring clean from bottom to top of the entire house.